Gotcha.
Nobody needs to see this. Hey,
How did you
everybody.
do that?
Screen sharing.
Whoopsie. We're sitting here playing around and we forgot. So
Yep.
sorry. So sorry.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Oh, Doug, so how are you?
You know what? I'm doing well. What am I doing? I'm very tired. I can tell you that. I've been working my tail off and doing more than I should be doing for the most part, and I'm tired. But uh, made some decisions that I get to take my beautiful wife and go to the Florida Keys, not this week, but the following week, and I can't wait to do that with her. Gonna try to find a boat since Gene O'Neill won't take me out because he's mean. But
What's up, Paul West? What's up, Tommy? That's exciting. We did that, I think, 6 years or so ago. We went down with two other couples and just had a blast. Just really great. And you definitely want to rent the boat because the Keys are totally different by water. So
yeah, that's kind of what we're looking at. We looked at it at a place that has when you rent the place, you get the boat as well. But the place wasn't too exciting, kind of a thing. So I don't know what we might just do that and then rent a boat when we actually get there. And then in December, I'm going to go play some poker. I think with Justin Monk up in California.
Cool. So if you get the boat, see also if you can rent a Snuba setup.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's basically an air compressed. You're a commercial diver. Yeah. Oh, that would be awesome. That's like explaining to the Pope what a crucifixion is.
That's been a few years.
They get this cross and they nailed it. It's but what's the word I'm trying to say on there? If you've ever have you ever dove Pennekamp or Pennekamp down in Key West? The national park there, the Key West Marine and Pennekamp Reef. There's some amazing stuff, but as opposed to like Belize or Belize, certainly near the Bahamas, and I can't even remember like Eczema, or where we just went St. Thomas, St. John.
Mm-hmm.
The decent reef structure at the Keys is really about 30 foot and deeper, and you get some nice deep drop-offs going from even gonna say 20 down to like 40 foot. Mm-hmm. Some beautiful caves, and not caves, but just
insets.
The relief insets on the reefs, gorgeous. Mm-hmm. But if you're just snorkeling, you aren't really seeing crap on there.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, that sucks because
you need some air to get down, and you can do that with one of the little Snubas or something, or
I hadn't thought about doing like a Snuba rental of any sort, so I'll have to check that out.
They're all over. Hey, Ryan, what's happening, buddy? They're all over the place down there. So, I was actually amazed whenever we went back. I was like, because I had lobstered and all before at the Keys, but never really reef. I dove Pennekamp and saw Christ of the Abyss when I was back whenever I could dive before I ruptured my eardrums. I was 17 years old or so, and I forgot how deep the damn Keys were, at least the good diving spots. And it was a harsh reminder because I just cannot get below about 25 foot because of my ear problems that I have now.
Yeah, this isn't what everybody signed on to listen to, but I'll tell a dive story that happened when I was diving. And
for y'all that don't know, Doug used to be a commercial diver.
So they had a thing called a jet sled, which is like pressure washing, right? Except it's probably about 5 foot tall, and then it's about maybe 3 foot wide, and it's like a skid. Okay. Mm-hmm. But on the front of it, it's got some rollers where the pipe rolls through it, but then it has pressure washing nozzles on the front that blow out. And what it does is the skid moves along nice and slow, and it buries the pipe. Okay. Because it used to be us divers would go down there and we would jet it out. And so I had just come back from a job I was just getting ready to go to a big job in California, and I had caught a cold. And so we were in fairly shallow water. I think we were in about 50 foot of water, which isn't normal for when we're doing that, but we were in about 50 foot of water. And I was having trouble clearing, my ears on the way down, because these are really quick dives. You jump down, you check the sled, make sure everything is, pumping the way it's supposed to, and make sure all the jets and it's burying the pipe, and you're checking the depth of the pipe, those kind of things. So you're really only down for, say, 5 or 10 minutes at a shot, and you're right back up. It's a very quick, fast-paced thing. So I jump in. I'm having trouble clearing my ears getting down. I get down. I do my thing. I'm trying to come up. Have trouble clearing my ears coming up. Okay, great. So now I'm out the water for about 15, 20 minutes. I got to jump in again. You just do it. So this happens like 4 or 5 times, and I can't. I keep getting worse clearing my ears. And it got to the point where I went down and I couldn't come back up. And it was the strangest thing, because normally it's not that way. It's, you have trouble getting down, but I was able to get myself down. Now I couldn't get myself back up. And it was like, they're like, dude, we got to get you, we got to get you out. We got to get you out. And even though it really wasn't a time thing, because I had plenty of time with 50 feet. And I'm like, you know what? Turn the volume down on the radio, come up on the diver, and let's just forget about it. And they're like, you sure you want to do that? I'm like, I mean, why not? And that's what they did. And that was the most painful experience of my life. So, boom.
Ow.
A little bit of blood, that kind of thing. It's all cool.
Yeah.
No big
Well,
deal.
I took a surfboard to the ear whenever I was 19 or so. I mean, we were actually walking out and hadn't even been, gotten out there yet. We, got out and done a couple of sets, and then but walking out and just had a freak wave hit, and we had was walking the board out, wasn't out paddling it, and I mean it came up and just bam right in there, laid me out in the water, and I was able for awesome party trick for about 10 years after that. I'd smoke and could do that and just have a straight stream of smoke coming out of the ear. It was really cool. Really freaked people out. So
Ryan needs to learn how to spell. He's got it in there as "Hey, you hunks." I think he meant chunks.
Yeah, chunk. Definitely the chunk here. Oh man, Billy Mays. Somebody's having way too much fun with their YouTube. So I love it.
There you go.
We had God last week.
Yeah. Now we got Billy Mays.
That's right. But wait, there's more.
But wait, there's more.
Mm-hmm. Since we're just BSing, if anybody's ever seen epic rap battles of history on YouTube, it's hilarious. They'll take 2 figures, maybe fictional, maybe historic, and so they have like Christopher Columbus battling Captain Kirk. And one of them is Billy Mays battling Ben Franklin, because they're like both the master of the pitch kind of thing there. Franklin was kind of a big salesperson, and Billy Mays has a heart attack in the middle of it, like he did in real life. So it's like, who can finish this rap battle? And the guy Vince from the Slap Chop and Slam Wow, he comes in and finishes the rap for him.
Okay, so I don't know why I'm doing this, but I'm going to challenge you right now to a rap duel. You're going to be you're that way. You're going to be Donald Trump, and I'm going to be Joe Biden. How's that?
All right.
You want to do it?
Yeah.
Can you do a rap as
No, I can't. I am the basic bitch of the white male. I have no rhythm. This would be absolutely horrible. But basically,
I can do Joe Biden. I can rap Joe Biden. Do you guys want me to rap Joe Biden?
Let's hear it.
Yeah, you guys want that? I'll rap Joe Biden.
This is quality. This is quality internet right here.
Yo. Trump.
How true. How true.
How was that? Was that pretty good? Or what?
Yeah. Now go fall up some stairs.
I didn't mumble enough. Yeah.
Oh, God. I think Trump would just say, hey, let's go Brandon over and over again. I know Brandon. Brandon is awesome. Let's go, Brandon.
That was my total wrap. Just so you guys know, that's Joe Biden's just out there and he doesn't know what's going on in his brain and he can't think long enough to make a wrap. So
like we talked about raising prices last week, and it really is a scary time. With my new venture, with the Power Wash store. Looking at prices just, going up from a manufacturer standpoint all the time and looking at it, it's like, hey, Paul, I'm going to probably need about 10 pressure washers, to open up with. And it's like, well, yeah, I can't really tell you a price on those now because we have no idea what the price will be whenever you open up.
Yeah.
It's really, really, really kind of scary. Hey, Todd, what's happening?
Even right now with the roofing sales thing, I mean, there's no material to be had. It's kind of one of them things. So I'm surprised at what is available, and I'm surprised at what isn't available out there. So I wouldn't be surprised when you do open up. I mean, who knows where the pricing is going to be or what's going to happen or how it's going to happen. It is time. I mean, I know we talked about it last week, but it is definitely time to start looking at raising prices because if you don't, when that time comes, I mean, you're going to have to kind of acclimate to it a little bit. If you do a little jumps now, then maybe come January, February, March, you won't have to make a big jump like some people might have to make. But
realistically, look at it. I mean, what's our single biggest cost for most of the guys is bleach and fuel. And both of those have increased substantially, or there's some scarcity to the markets as well. And, I know people have had real problems getting bleach, and I've got people in, I got suppliers in Tallahassee that are limiting companies to 25 gallons a day, which, I mean, we burn through 100 to 150 here. It's kind of scary. So, so
if you're limited.
Had some tornado action. Kent Holmes is with us. Oh, Ryan McGowan. Yeah. So Bo and I are going to be at IWCA doing house wash training down there. He asked me to do that because I co-authored the house wash training with Bo for the PWMCA. PWNA. Bam, wrong one.
PWM.
Getting my acronyms messed up there. Hey, Perry Tate. So Perry's such a good, valuable resource. Seeing prices rise from, we're not putting crap on here.
15 and 20% across the board. And 3 months ago, they already got 6 to 10% increases.
Scary.
It is. Scary.
Really scary.
I wanted to bring up.
Hold on. Hey, how's that $15 an hour treating you now, guys, that you wanted so bad?
Yeah. But I'm Joe Biden and I got you 15.
I got 15. I got a 30% raise. Yeah, but everything's gone up 50%. People don't understand that whole trickle down economics thing, that if everybody gets the raise, prices have to go up. And then you add to the you do what we're doing in this country and adding such insane amounts of debt and devaluing money, and then you have a supply chain issue, and it's just a recipe for a freaking nightmare.
I think that the easiest way to solve this entire problem, I think that they should raise the minimum wage, but I don't think it should be $15 an hour. I think it should be probably $300, $350 an hour, because if everybody's making like $350 an hour, right? Everybody's going to be super rich, and now you won't have to worry. So you can work at McDonald's, make $350 an hour, or you can run a big company and make $350 an hour, which, I'd rather just work at McDonald's for the $350 an hour, right?
Yeah, I remember.
Basic economics, Ray. It's basic economics. I make $350 an hour times 10 hours. That's what, $2,000 a day, and now I can be rich too.
Well, I mean, it's going to be like, Venezuela and when they devalued the where they literally have to carry in a wheelbarrow of money to buy a loaf of bread at the store, And I remember that you didn't build that. And it was like, the fuck I didn't. Pardon my French. I don't remember Obama out there helping me in the middle of the night, pressure washing that hospital. I mean, it's, seriously. Yeah,
the whole thing is ridiculous. I don't even understand how you can not understand basic math and the basic way things work. Sure, $15 an hour. If you're willing to work for $15 an hour, you're worth $15 an hour. If you don't want to work for $10 an hour, go out and get yourself a $20 an hour job. Go out and invest in yourself and learn a trade and do things like that to make yourself worth $20, $30, $40, $50, $350 an hour.
I try to remain extremely non-political on my page, although I'm getting more political now that I'm not catering to Tallahassee's, people in our liberal area. But I've got to.
I didn't mean to turn this into a political discussion, but I kind of did. Sorry.
It's all right. But, I look at Tallahassee, because Tallahassee and Gaston County, we're like two blue dots in a sea of red up here in the Panhandle. And my friends are conservative. I mean, they really are. But I am to the point right now, and I'm sorry if you don't like this, we can respectfully disagree. But if you're a card-carrying hardcore liberal that actually believes in the shit that's going on right now, you're a freaking moron. I mean, seriously, explain how the math works, explain how these programs work, explain how adding all this extra crap on their work. So Perry has got had many friends that come from countries that experience superinflation. It's possible to happen in the first world countries as well, which is scary. Yeah, Perry, it'd be horrible, and then not only that, we've got the geopolitical stuff with China really competing against us and revealing that, I think the Trump kind of kept that thing in check a little bit, at least a working relationship kind of thing. And, there's talk about moving away from the dollar as the OPEC standard. I mean, that's just freaking.
They've been talking about moving away from the dollar for a long time.
Yeah, I know, and it's scary.
Yeah, very.
So, Kent, pivot, shut our residential side, focus on Christmas lights and commercial. Yeah, I get it. I get it. It's tough. And, the sad part is, and I saw, you had some frustrations, Kent, about lower guys, in your market that were killing it. Again, I say this all the time. If you're a new guy out here watching this, if you're inexperienced and, hey, I'm going to go out here and do this $99 thing and do this, you're on it. You're not my competition, but at the same time, you're killing yourself and you're out of business already. You just don't realize it yet because it is a non-sustainable market. Being the super cheap guy is not ever the being the low of the low is not a sustainable market. It's just.
I'm really sorry to hear that you're doing that, Kent. I mean, I didn't know that you were having some issues up there. But man, if there's anything we can do to help figure that out and point in the right direction, all that kind of stuff. I mean, I know the Christmas lights is a good thing for a lot of guys, so hopefully that's going to be a good thing to pivot to, as you said.
Unions are starting to turn on the Democrats. Good. Oh, man.
If you can't tell, we're not really Democrat supporters.
Yeah, I mean,
I do love Scott, and I know he's a Democrat.
See, somebody's saying minimum wage is an insult. They should set a goal wage that everybody should be striving to make a positive thinking.
Boom.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I mean, you should be wanting to do this, and I can honestly say there's some people that I've had lots of experiences with that are not they weren't worth $5 an hour, much less the $15 an hour, I mean, and they always said it's the minimum wage because it is something you should strive to not be making out there.
Yeah, you absolutely should be striving for above and beyond. And that's just more of a, to me, the minimum wage is the starter wage for kids. It's the, when they're first entering the marketplace, to get them and to prevent them from being taken advantage of. So I do agree with some sort of a minimum wage, but
no, absolutely. But it's we always prided ourselves at Spray Wash of paying double, at least minimum of double the minimum wage. And we actually wanted to pay people sustainable, livable wages, and have them not, be job hopping away from our company. However, this is something that I've noticed with a lot of people, and money does not matter as much with a lot of the. I'm not trying to sound classist, and I'm not trying to sound holier than thou or better than anybody, because I'm really not better than anybody except, well, Jacob. I'm a lot better than Jacob Deal, but and Bobby Walker. I'm better than Bobby. Okay, I'm better than a few people, but these lower echelon folks, these folks that may wind up working for you, understand it kind of becomes a socioeconomic thing, and you could give them $100,000 a year and they're going to be broke. They're going to piss it away. They're not going to value the job that they have. They're going to waste the money. And some people wind up getting it. And you can wind up being a dad to some of these people and helping them grow and helping them mature. Or understand, this happens literally in every labor market there is. It's not unique to pressure washing. I mean, and we've been real lucky in some respects for long-term help. But every market, I mean, whenever you start dealing with the low end of the spectrum, you're going to have these problems. I mean, there's the guys that feel like calling out, hey, I had a guy, he quit today. He left today because his supervisor said something to him. Every day this week, he's been in at 8:30, not at 8 o'clock. And he's wanting to drive to the jobs now and not, and so the supervisor said something. He literally walked back. He walked in. He said, it's been a pleasure working for you. And he walked out.
Wow.
Bah.
When I very first started out in business, I started off buying and selling junk. So I ended up buying, I worked my way up, if you would, and I ended up buying and selling storage units. This is way before Storage Wars. This is many, many years back. And one of the things that I noticed, it really is it's a mindset. The money doesn't necessarily matter, because I would I would buy storage units, and they would have some really nice stuff in these storage units. And I got kind of curious, and I would start going through some of the paperwork, if they had paperwork organized. Most times it wasn't, but sometimes you could look through the papers that they have and you could tell. So you would see like letters from lawyers, and the letters from lawyers would be from like an accident, like a car accident or whatever it was. And then you would see that maybe they got a check anywhere between, say, $5 and $50,000, right? They would get this check. And so instead of taking that money and bettering themselves, they would take, and a lot of times they would take that money and move out of where they were. They would get into an apartment, and then they would do all this rent to own furniture stuff, which was great for us because we got new furniture out of them all the time. But anyhow, so then they would rent all this new furniture and get another car and do all this stuff. And then the next thing you know, they're broke. They don't do anything to get better jobs or education or, whatever. So that's where, when you're saying it's a mindset, I really think that it is. I mean, when you look at these people, you say, the mindset of the minimum wage worker, there's nothing, doesn't matter what you pay them. They're always going to be broke.
And I know we try to put the nice spin on it, and we talk about, I'm going to rag on Brandon Vaughn for a minute. And again, I love Brandon. I don't mean this as an attack to him, but he was talking real big with his company about company culture, the company culture. You got to have the company culture, which is so important to the Gen Z or whatever generation we're on now, the generation that can't figure out which freaking bathroom to use, I guess. But and again, I have had so many young guys that have been amazing, talent for me. But at the same time, you have company culture is important, but again, on the lower end of the socioeconomic, the responsibility scale, it doesn't matter if you have the best culture in the world or if you have the best pay system in the world. They're just dumbasses. I mean, you know, for lack of a better way to explain this, they're just not. They don't get it. They never will get it. I lost another laborer last Sunday, and literally, you know, so Saturday morning. Now I'm on the job site with him all day. I'm actually I'm the ground guy at this job. I'm the safety officer. Was with him literally all day. I get a message on Tuesday, and it was basically, so he and his wife are expecting their 4th child. They moved down from the Chicago area a few months ago. They have 3 kids. They live in motels. They live in extended stay motels because they've not been able to find, you know, suitable housing. Now, he's also a massive freaking weed smoker. Probably spends a couple $100, you know, a week on weed. And you know, I don't have money for application fees. He also doesn't, but so he's also not gone and checked with the hotels about upcoming schedules and all. And what'll happen is a football game will come to town. They're like, oh, by the way, you got to get out of the room, you know, or rates are going up. We're tripling our prices because we're a football town. Oh, I didn't know that. Well, you know, you probably should have learned it the first time it happened. But now,
and every time you've been at one of these
places. And then he literally sent me a message on Monday or Sunday morning when he didn't show up for his shift. He's like, yeah, we're getting kicked out of our hotel room because of the game this weekend. And we don't know, you know, we're just going to move back to Chicago. My family can't be homeless. And I'm like,
so you're going to waste all that money going back to Chicago.
And then it's also, so we're going to put all of our stuff in a mini storage unit here in Tallahassee.
That we now have to come back.
We live in a 1-room hotel room, but that's going to take me all this time. And I want to rest up for my drive on Thursday night of this week. So he needed 5 days off to rest up to drive back to the Chicagoland area.
We could have worked for those 4 days.
Could have worked for 3 of them or anything. Also, you know, it's like, dude, you realize that you work for the largest pressure washing company in America. I am sure that with a phone call, we could go and you're making $20 an hour. And with a phone call, you could go and transfer to another branch somewhere. And we got lots of branches up in Chicago. But no, you know, he didn't do that. So,
and actually it'll be worse for him because if he goes up there, tries to hire on, especially if he's in any kind of system with Crystal Clean.
Yeah, exactly. Now you're a no show. And all right, so Perry, I want to read what Perry said. Crazy orders are up 30% this year. When orders get shipped, U.S. couldn't handle all ports, and with trucking, it's a backlog. It's a logistics nightmare. You know, California, and I hate to say it, but California is one of the biggest problems with that. What they need to start doing is putting stuff out there down through the Panama Canal, getting in here to the Gulf of Mexico and Texas, Louisiana, and freaking Florida, because we don't have – California is just goofy with some of their emission laws for truckers. I've got a friend who's a trucker that's grounded back in Tallahassee because he can't get into California with his truck.
They've always had nutty laws. And even at that, it's amazing. You go there and, I mean, the smog is so horrible, which is why they have their rules and their laws. But I mean, you think you would come up with something that actually works instead of I don't really even know what they do. I mean, every time I hear something about California and California emissions, and my head wants to explode.
A lot of mates who place $1 million orders are being quoted 4 to 8 month delivery time, no firm price because the factory do not know how much the raw materials will cost in 3 to 7 months time. They have to pay a 30% deposit on open purchase order or not. That's crazy. I mean, that's absolutely crazy. And I'm assuming those are orders that are probably coming in from China, not just America, but in China. So you know, it's happening globally, not just, I mean, so China's having a problem getting the materials. It's not just America having a problem getting the stuff. China's China's having a problem getting the materials is what I'm reading, Perry, on there. So
This one, I mean, this amazes me. Ken Holmes is saying, I got blocked from a discussion a few days ago where a bunch of millennials were agreeing that they wouldn't work somewhere that they couldn't take off whenever they want. They said the employers will learn to bow to their demands of their employees. That's the mentality of our forthcoming workforce. That will never fly. I don't care. I mean, I think most good entrepreneurs are going to say, business owners are going to say, well,
see it.
Yeah.
Don't let the door hit you. I mean, that's why I said, years ago, I found this other video the other day, get back on the truck. Don't ever get so complacent in your washing business that you forget how to wash, because you could have the biggest washing business in the world, lose all your labor force. If you still maintain somewhat of a shape, I'm round, it is a shape, but, and you still, understand the basic principles, you can still go out there solo and make $200,000 a year. You'll be tired, you'll be sore, but you can do it.
What do you think the odds are that, I just thought about this because of Kent's comment, but what do you think the odds could be? I'd love to hear Perry's take on this as well, but what do you think the odds would be that companies like McDonald's, companies like Walmart actually thought about this years ago? And the reason I say that is that why we're seeing all these self-serve machines and all this?
It's very possible. Yeah. I mean, they may have seen that
the workforce wouldn't be there to be able to do it. So maybe they kind of foresaw that, and that's what they're doing to us.
Company culture doesn't work in new business. And a lot, Tommy, I don't disagree with you there. Whenever you're a new business, your culture ought to be staying freaking alive. That's what your culture ought to be. Just figuring out how to stay alive, Mark, can they see our comments? If I post it up here, anybody can see those comments there. So if it's something I don't post, you can't see it.
There are a lot of comments that we can't see. We've never figured out why, but we get people that say, hey man, how come you never
talked about me? I mean, people share this video off and it doesn't go into our stream. I mean, this will show that we've got a couple hundred views, but then, all of a sudden it'll jump up to a couple of thousand views and people have watched this. So from Chicago to be the next Raymond Burke. Come on, baby. Tallahassee's wide open.
That's it. Come on.
6x17 cargo trailer, gonna nomad, keep my business. Yeah. Talk about burning bridges. Well, you know what? That's one of the things we just talked about with those employees. And yeah, I mean, it is. And don't, what was that I said? I don't like to burn my bridges. I like to just loosen the bolts in a little bit every day. I mean,
that makes me think of that one for Desert Storm where the guy barely made it across the bridge before they blew it up.
Yep. Remember, this applies to so many people, and it applies to employees that you hire back. And I don't know if that's the kind of bridge you're talking about, or people who run associations or not-for-profit associations in the power washing industry. But there was a story about, for you guys who haven't heard this, bear with my whole redneck self, guy was walking a mountain and it started to snow, and he hears this voice, hey, mister, help me. And there's a rattlesnake down on the ground. And he's like, wait, whoa, talking snake. Those are some really good shrimps. And the snake's like, dude, look, it's starting to snow early. I haven't gone out there and, found a nice little den for the wintertime. He's like, can you pick me up and carry me down the mountain so I don't freeze to death? And the guy's like, you're a rattlesnake. I cannot do that. You're going to bite me. No, man. No, dude, I'm going to freeze to death. Please just save me. Put me under your coat and get me off this mountain. So the guy goes down there, he picks the rattlesnake up. Rattlesnake doesn't bite him. He puts him in his coat, warms him up, walks down the mountain, takes the rattlesnake out, puts him down on the ground. Rattlesnake turns around and bam, bites him. And the guy's like, dude, you said you weren't going to bite me. The rattlesnake said, You knew what I was when you picked me up.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you have the employees come back to you, if you have to, you know, the leopards don't change their spots. I mean, you know, if somebody's done you dirty once, a lot of times they're going to do you dirty again, and they might have tears as big as horse turds in their eyes, saying, "No, I've learned my lesson. This was the best job I ever had." No.
They're still going to crap on you.
Yeah, they will.
And the problem for us is that we as owners, and we get so busy and we're like, man, but I really need somebody. I really need somebody. And then you keep that person just because you really need them. But I think in the long run, you're probably doing yourself a lot more harm than you are good. You'd be better off just to cut that snake's head off right there. Don't carry him down the mountain. Let him go and bring somebody else on.
Well, I did that video a few months ago. You don't negotiate with cancer. You don't appease cancer. You don't negotiate with cancer. You cut cancer out of your life. You cut it out of your body. You cut it out of your business. Done. It might suck. The surgery might be painful. It might mean more time on a truck for you, but
in the long run, it's worth it.
Because cancer spreads. Cancer is insidious, and it's just going to run through your organization. And Perry's saying, yeah, that automation thing. So now the BG song. Sorry. My bad.
Stay alive. Stay alive. We could totally do that. We could start a rock band right here.
There's a shipping cost, one container. Now it's, you know, and shipping costs have quadrupled or 5-6 times up there. And yeah, 100%. I mean, and I understand there's been some, the shipping isn't just because of the cost. There was actually some mergers and some buyouts, and there's relatively a lot fewer shipping companies out there. Somebody's saying that's Snake Story's Trump story. Cool. I didn't know that, but that's awesome. Focus service has to be efficiency, do more with less time. 100%. 100%. Keep your prices up. Do more with less time, and amen. You know, you got to get it's even more. It's even more important to do more with less time now, as costs go up, as your expenses go up, as there's less profit out there. It's so important to do more, be more efficient. You've got to maximize every dollar out there.
Did you see what I sent you, Ray? No, look on your other screen. Look right, probably there. Yeah, right. It's probably.
I don't see where messages are.
Huh? You got to hit the. You see where you got the comments thing and then the banners thing. And
yeah. Yeah, bring Perry in. Absolutely. See if
he wants.
I'd love to. I think it'd be great. 3,000 to 20,000, Perry, on the shipping. Good Lord, that's just crazy. Yeah, hire slow, fire fast. It's
definitely,
man. It's just a shame.
Right. So. Where am I at? I go off onto these other things too far. I still hadn't talked about what I wanted to talk about. I wanted to bring something up. We've talked about it in the past. It's just something quick, but that is disclaiming away your liability, right? I wanted to touch on this again because I talked to somebody today or yesterday about disclaiming away liability. And I want to point out that disclaiming away liability isn't something that you do. If it's something that you did, right? That's not what whenever we're talking about disclaiming, like I'll say, man, I disclaim that all day long. What I'm talking about there and what I mean by that is that if it's something that can cause damage, there's a high risk of damage. Like, let's just say it's Galvalume, whatever it is, right? That you are having them physically sign something that says they understand the risks involved and they're willing to accept those risks and not come after you. That's different than if you go ahead and do the work on a Galvalume roof, and you fry the roof, and then you go back to your your standard boilerplate disclaimer that says we're not responsible for any thing that goes wrong. Well, that's not going to help you. More likely than not, in a court of law, that's not going to hold up.
It's funny that you say this. So I'm going to turn my camera up here just so you know that I'm not BSing, but right there over the light, it actually says it's tough to contract away liability.
Yep.
That's why education is key.
Yep. 100%.
And 100%, Doug. And it's almost impossible to contract away liability because it becomes. I don't want to say people to use this word wrongly, but it becomes illegal in a lot of ways to try, and it becomes fraudulent to try and contract away, liability. It's like, so, it's like, carried the sports coat to the dry cleaner. I'm like, hey, can you wash it? Can you clean this? He's like, yeah, but the patches will fall off the sleeves. Like, gee, thanks. Why don't you shit in the pocket too? Got the coat back.
Well, for me, it's like this. You know you're going to damage something by doing it, and you say, well, it's in my disclaimer, but you knew it anyhow, and you didn't, you didn't really bring that to the customer's attention. Even though it's in your contract, you're probably not going to win that in court, and you don't want to find yourself in court anyhow.
You really don't, and that's one of those things that people talk about a lot. Oh, we're going to court. I'll sue you. I'll do this. I'll do. No, you won't. No, you won't. And you may find yourself in small claims court. I mean, we've got some judgments against customers, and where we've gone in there and either filed mechanics lien or gone to small claims court. But you don't want to really necessarily have that reputation. And two, truly suing somebody and getting an attorney involved is extremely expensive.
Extremely expensive.
Extremely expensive.
Extremely expensive.
I know a guy who's done some of that, and he's bemoaned the fact. Kent, I'd also go on there. Another reason shift for commercial versus residential is that commercial is typically so much more schedulable. Schedulable. That's what we always thought of with the hoods as well too. And when we created a division of doing hoods, it was because, well, okay, we know that we need, this Thursday night I've got 3 hoods. This Saturday I've got 2 hoods. This, that, and same way with a lot of the commercial accounts, the cleaning, the flat work on there. That on Monday night you've got 2 McDonald's. That on Wednesday you've got 3 Crystals.
I like that one. Get behind that rock truck. You're getting hit by a rock anyhow.
Yep.
Yeah, that's funny.
Absolutely.
So here we are, stuck in Neverland. Ray has something exciting going on that I hope, but we can't tell yet, but man, I hope it happens.
We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see.
I'm hoping.
So I spent my afternoon here before, whenever we got done with work, and we got done with stuff, and I was actually making my initial order for a power wash store. So that was exciting. So I spent $200,000 this evening already.
Isn't that fun?
Woo! Yeah, because I'm not financing this or SBAing it. I mean, I'm out here just stroking checks on the crap. So kind of fun. So no, you can't have a discount in case you're thinking of asking.
Matter of fact, we're starting a GoFundMe for Ray later this evening.
A bond? No, honestly, I don't. So the question is, do you guys highly recommend getting a bond? I do not. And
but that's going to be area dependent.
It is. You're right.
Some areas, depending on what you do, require a bond.
Also, some contracts, if it becomes over a certain amount,
require a bond.
Florida State University used to have in their verbiage, also the state of Florida, that if a project was over $100,000, you had to go and get a surety bond on there. And a surety bond can actually be kind of expensive whenever you're going to pay 10% of the contract price for an insurance policy, so that if you don't do the work, they can do it. And you may get somewhat of a refund on it if you do the work, but there is costs associated with it.
I'm even going to go this route. It used to be in the old days, people would say that I'm licensed and bonded.
Right.
You don't really ever hear that term anymore. Some areas you might, but for the most part, you hear licensed and insured instead of licensed and bonded. And they wouldn't even throw in the insured. It was licensed and bonded. Then it became licensed, bonded, and insured. Now it's pretty much just licensed and insured. But I know that there are still areas out there that require bonds for certain types of things. And then again, like they were saying, bigger.
Tommy's saying they just did an 88,000 job and they had to be bonded on there. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it happens. I oftentimes found that whenever anybody had mentioned about a bond, whenever we showed them the $3 million worth of insurance, that it really soothed a lot of the bonded requirements. But that's going to be one of the things that's up to a customer. And is it worth it? I don't know. I don't know the answer to that question. I don't know.
I wouldn't think, unless your area is heavily into having
bonds. Yeah. And I think that's probably more of a northern thing than it is a southern thing. Because hell, we do $25,000 jobs with a spit and a handshake here.
Exactly. We do the same thing. We've done. I've had purchase orders of over $100,000 on a handshake, believe it or not, and you're like, okay. It is what it is. It's paper trails there and that, but yeah.
I would say for newer companies, it might be kind of hard to get the bonding out there also because you don't really have the performance record on it. But it's one of those things too that, hey, check in there and just it's a great idea. We used to say this in some of the classes that you don't have to do all, like if you wanted to do residential and you knew you were going to need a $3 million or commercial and you were going to need a $3 million policy, because that's kind of the standard of what they're asking you to do. I'm not saying go ahead and get the $3 million, but go ahead and call your insurance agent and know how much it's going to cost whenever you go in there and do that. Or like we used to have to do, a couple of the jobs that we have, we would have to have $1 million liability policy on the automobiles, on the trucks themselves. We normally kept to $500,000. We knew that we could bump up to $1 million for 1 quarter and then bump back down to $750. Know what those costs are,
I think Michael J. made a slight mistake here. He says I had to be bonded to work at the county prison. I think he meant bailed.
So contractor's license in Arkansas, obtain a bond, or prove we have a certain amount of liquid cash. Got it.
You can do that. You can use your own cash.
Paid, large government jobs.
I'm curious on that, Kent, if they require that cash to be in a specific account or not, because I know we dealt with that once before. And if we didn't want to have the bond, we had to have a very specific amount of cash, and that cash had to be in a very specific account to act as our bond, if that would be.
Then large government jobs require it. The state of Florida, 100,000 and above, it was required on there. Tommy's moving south. Yeah, and credit, they are credit based. So,
yeah, you did.
John Sacco, what's happening?
Mr. John.
RPC $1 million policies in my truck. That's what there was a place. Let's actually talk about there for a second. I hope they're out of business at this point. But there was a place called Compliance Depot. Compliance, remember them? So Compliance Depot was a kind of a clearinghouse for contracts, and we dealt with insurance, a few apartment communities, and they ran all of their contracts through Compliance Depot. What Compliance Depot would then do is go and assemble all of your paperwork, even after you won the bid, and then they would check your insurance, and they would check it up against the bid specs, and
make sure you meet the specs.
Make sure you met it, but they wouldn't notify you beforehand. What they would say is, hey, you didn't have the $1 million vehicle insurance on there, you're not going to get paid. You're not eligible for payment on this. And I know multiple companies that damn near went out of business because they were fighting with Compliance Depot because they signed a contract that said you will have a $1 million liability policy in place at all times on your vehicles and a $2 million. And then it's like, well, I only had a $250,000 liability policy and a $100,000 truck policy. Well, you were out of compliance and you did break the terms of that contract. So be careful on that whenever you are, if you're going, okay, these are the requirements, or like an insurance bond or a surety bond there. Okay, I'm going to let that slide. They're not asking me about it. I'm not doing it. Well, if you violated the terms of an agreement, you may not get paid for something. So it's important
and you might actually owe for something.
Yeah. You
end up owing for something that you worked on, that you fixed, that you did, and you end up owing money instead of getting paid.
Stephen Button saying that they're still around real, but yeah, and they are a racket. You're absolutely. I'm sure Stephen's dealt with them before with some of his larger stuff. They're a freaking nightmare, to deal with.
Yeah,
horrible. But this is where it's important to understand what you're getting into when you're signing a contract. I mean, our deal with Florida State University is like 45 pages long.
And look, on some of those, you don't even have to hold to every letter of the contract. In other words, sometimes you can negotiate on contracts, believe it or not. Some of the bigger companies won't even consider it, but if they really want the work done and you specialize in that, which we really do have a specialty business, right? And if you have the correct insurance and you have the right this, and you're willing to do this, and you're willing to run your business like a business, sometimes you can negotiate on what those contracts actually say. You can simply say, look, line item 63 through 72, definitely not happening. I'm scratching those out. They'll say, you can't do that in the contract. Then you say, okay, well, then we're not going to be working for you. And then you might be surprised for them to come back and say,
it's actually one of the
ridiculous.
It's one of the hallmarks of contract law in America. We have the free right to contract whatever we want to out here, and they can't tell you. And we've actually fought apartment complexes on Compliance Depot and said we will not deal with these people, and we've had that struck. And we went and gave all of our information directly to, because we had heard the horror stories out there, and it would have sunk us, because we were doing some 5-figure projects at the time. This would have been 7-8 years ago, and I couldn't afford to take hits like that.
No.
I've seen one where they didn't know, they were wanting like general contractor insurance, like a general contractor's liability insurance for cleaning a garage. And they were asking for like $20 million in insurance. And we said, this is absolutely unreasonable. I am not going to cause this kind of damage with a pressure washer on here. And, we fought that.
We had that about 2 years ago, I think, with one that was on there's a roof and a house wash. And I don't know what was going on with these people, because it was a residential project, but it was being managed by, I'm not even sure what the deal was, because it was a husband and wife. They lived in the home. They were elderly, but I think they had their home in some sort of a trust. And then the trust was managed by this management company or whatever. And I can't remember what the number was anymore, but man, it was like an 18-page contract they sent me. And I started reading the first page of this contract, and then I'm like, I called them up and the same thing. And I'm like, you know what? Y'all can take this job and just go someplace else, because first of all, I don't like some of the verbiage on the first page. So I never finished the first page. I'm certainly never going to make it to the 18th page. Yeah. So you either do it without this contract or we just don't do it. They ended up doing it.
Yeah. So it ain't going to get no better. This first page is the honeymoon. It ain't even got to the serious part yet. And Stephen saying, like I just said, with a 20 million, he had one at 10 million and got them to change it. Because, sometimes, the Compliance Depot and hell, honestly, I'm not saying this to be negative about, but a lot of times these contracts are done by contract managers purchasing managers, not facilities people, they don't know which end of the pressure washer the water actually comes out of. They really don't have any idea what we do, what liabilities in there, what equipment we're using, anything about that. So, sometimes you have to educate them.
Yeah, and going with what Steve was saying too. I mean, there's also, and I've told the story before. I mean, Shell Oil, right? They wanted us to have, I think it was either 5 million or 10. I think it was 5 million. They wanted us to have a 5 million policy, and we had a $2 million policy. And the job, they weren't actually hiring us to go out and clean. They were renting our truck, and they were hiring us as consultants for their company to do the work. And actually, Shell hired another company. That company hired us to go out, but their requirement was a $5 million insurance policy. And I remember at the time it was going to be like a one day job, and $1,700 or something like that, $2,700, somewhere around there. And the $5 million policy was going to cost me like another $6,000 for the year. And I'm like, there's no way I'll never need this. So I went back to them. They ended up, we raised our price to cover the cost of that. I actually only raised it to $5,000. But I raised the cost $5,000 to go do this consulting thing and let them use my truck for the day, just to get the insurance policy that they required, because they needed it. They needed us and they needed our specialty equipment and our knowledge, and they'll throw away money like that in the big corporation.
And that's something about, commercial and larger commercial. And one of the reasons, like, sometimes you might need to know a general contractor. You might need some general contractor liability insurance. One of the reasons that relationships are so important in this industry, to know people in case you ever need to get in there to a situation like that. We had a situation, and talking about, negotiating contracts, we had a couple of national, and Springwise was one of them. And we got on Springwise's bid list, and we would get bids just like crazy coming into the email. Garden Center, Walmart, $500, must be completed by, October 31, 2021. And I would sit there and like, okay, they're offering me $500 to go clean a Walmart garden center. Yeah, right. And I'd literally take a magic marker, strike through the $5 and $500 and write $3,500 on there. Mm-hmm. Scan it and email it back. And there was actually quite a few of them that came back through and going, okay, yeah, we'll pay. And I'm sure somewhere they found an idiot to wash a Walmart garden center for $500, but not this idiot. And but what happens on these national guys, what happens on these national contracts is that they've gone out and made a negotiated commitment from there. It's not $500. Springwise is making money on the back of the contractor, which it's America. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. They're probably negotiating out $1,500. A Walmart garden center, and they have enough people pay that are doing it for $500 that accept that offer, mm-hmm. And they can afford to eat a $3,500 one every now and then, whenever you actually know what the prices should be for those.
Look, there's also another thing where sometimes the companies will tell you they'll have in their contract, they'll have a couple different things, but like, let's say, for example, they'll say, their pay cycle is 45 days. However, if you give them a 10% or 15% discount, then they'll change that to a 15-day pay cycle, or a 60-day pay cycle, and they'll change it to a 20-day pay cycle, something to that nature. And I know, guys, I'm not doing that. I'm not working for this company, blah, blah, blah. But what you're missing is all you do is say, okay, I accept that. So when they say that, it's a 15% discount or a 10, let's just go 10%. Let's say they say it's a 10% discount, raise your price by 13% and then take their 15% discount. You're making a little bit more money off of their discount.
Absolutely. I've looked at contracts with both the state of Florida and Florida State that have gone, and it says it right up there in front in the contract that it goes, hey, price price for 10-day net, price for 21-day net, price for 45-day net, you know, and the theory is that you will take less for a faster payout.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I can't say any $1 million, $3 million piece of equipment. So yeah, so you better only mess up a third of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and to go $500 for a Walmart garden center, insane. Up front, exchange of their terms, most are happy to do it. Yeah, you know, let's talk about deposits for a second. And it's always scared a lot of people to get deposits, especially from larger companies. But Tanya was always a beast in doing that and was very successful. There's been a couple, like, we've never been able to get a deposit from the state of Florida. I mean, state of Florida, we could not get, you know, deposits from them. Most government things you're not going to get deposits from, but you know, we've had apartment communities, we've had large commercial buildings, office parks, all kind of stuff where we've said this is going to either take a deposit up front because you're going to need a crew there for 2 weeks to do this job, and that's putting a whole gigantic a big hole in our schedule if something happens.
Or you want us to do 20 different McDonald's locations across the state, and you know, all that fuel that we're going to burn up driving around and doing all that, we require a deposit to do that.
And we've also, if they haven't done deposits, you can also pull a draw schedule on things too. And don't be afraid about asking for a draw schedule and say, look, you know, whenever the job is 1/4 of the way done, I want 1/8 of the money, or I want 1/4 of the money, or you know, just whatever it is. You know, you need to leave a little bit in the kitty there. If you get a quarter done, you're probably not going to get a quarter paid. But if you get half done, you can get a third paid. If you get, you know, 3/4 done, you can get 2/3 paid on there.
I even had this thought in my brain when, you know, in my younger days, where I thought, you know, if I ask for a deposit, it means that I don't have the money. I need the deposit in order to do the job. And so I didn't want to ask for deposits because I didn't want to seem like I was desperate, right? But come to find out, it's just the opposite. In some cases, not always, but sometimes it's also in how you do what you do and why you do. Again, if you send them what looks like a standard form that a deposit is required, and you make those even types of statements that deposits are required on jobs in excess of $25,000 or extend beyond a 5-day time frame, you know, put that kind of, make a standard boilerplate verbiage. And you can even have that as part of your estimates. And then that way they see it, or if they don't, you get to point them to it. Okay, I need my deposit. The deposit is clearly right there on that contract, that kind of thing. You look professional, you don't look desperate.
I agree. I totally agree.
It's hard to believe we've been at it for an hour already.
Yeah, I know. This was fun. I like having no agenda. Let's kind of flow with it and all that. So I got to go feed a dog, Doug.
I got to go do some estimate stuff.
We got gale force winds down at the coast today. Had a big job that we had to postpone for a few days, and I'm hoping this wind gets out because I start on and Michael Evans said, you know, it's risk management. It literally is. It is a factored out risk management right there. So
I think you got the winds that we had yesterday. We had sideways rain. I mean, it was going in the doors of the buildings and everything. It was.
We're getting it. I mean, there's gale force warnings down on the coastal area, and it's howling 2025 out here in Tallahassee with some gusts now. You know, that's one of those that, and hopefully it calms down by Saturday because we've got some high work to do. But you know, if there is any weather condition that will keep us from working, we will work in thunderstorms. We will work in fog. We will do, you know.
I almost got blown off of a roof today. It's so windy. Damn. I was up on the peak of this roof and I almost got blown off. I'm like, holy crap. I mean, you know, it's like a 7-on-12. So it wasn't that, I mean, it's bad, but it wasn't that bad. But I'm like, dang.
Jim Bob saying they lost 2 days, Central Florida, RPC. Yeah, it's that's what we had. And we got it. We had it now, and we had it. We'll have it tomorrow, and hopefully midday tomorrow it'll be gone. So, I pulled up one of the beach cams at St. George today this morning. You know, we were in the office and then, all right, we're going to call this or not, you know, and it's a really unique house where we can actually get up on every level and work it. You know, there was decks on most of the levels, and then a widow's walk at the top. We could spray down, but when the beach cam is doing that, you know,
there you go.
Yeah, no, not going to do it. Ooh, hope the damage wasn't that bad. So,
yep.
There was tornadoes in Alabama and stuff I saw in Louisiana, Tennessee, or Texas.
Everywhere.
Oh, man. All right, so I'm going to go home and fret for a little while and see if this thing works out. So
appreciate y'all.
Hold on, somebody else is hold on. Power Wash Store supposed to contact about the event in January. I would assume if you have registered there at their website, so powerwashstore.com, and register for that January vendor showcase that Mike Michalowicz is Profit First author is speaking at, and the pumpkin plan and all that good stuff. I am sure there will be emails sent out. If you have not gotten an email, you may want to register again on that, but powerwashstore.com.
Yep.
And I know getting closer to the event, they'll start doing bulk. So dang, a gazebo and a fence went down. Some pretty darn good wind right there. Oh, well, Doug, everybody, thank y'all again. We appreciate you. Y'all have a
blessed day. Appreciate you.